From project reviews to incredible interviews, along with the general things in Web3, CraigO's Crypto Corner covers the space in a fun and engaging way. We dive in so our listeners can conceptualize, plan, strategize, and implement their very next move. We are quickly becoming a platform that enriches and supports the overall foundation of Web3. In order to grow, you need your voice to be heard. If you have infinite curiosity, then CraigO's Crypto Corner is just for you. Come join us.
You're tuning into CraigO's Crypto Corner, the best in Web3, blockchain, NFT, and cryptocurrency technology. Great reviews, incredible interviews with the leading people in the Web3 ethos, and just the general things Web3. So let's get to it. Welcome everybody who's tuning in today on Twitter, Spaces, Facebook, and YouTube. What's up, my Mr. MetaMat co-host? How you doing?
How you doing? I'm excited for today. We got a great guest, and we got a lot of core apes already in the chat. It looks like the YouTube is popping off, and love it.
I love it. I love seeing the YouTube pop off, because you know what? It's multiple platforms spring over from Twitter Spaces to YouTube, and then those that are just stick on Facebook. Hey, they're there. But I always have infinite curiosity, and so every week we get the great pleasure of having my good friend Ralph Quintero of the Daily Ralpha coming in. What's going on, my good friend?
What is up, Craig and Matt? Nice to see you guys, Matt. Nice having you back in the studio. Always great.
It's nice to see you. I ran through a few more days of the Dookie Dash, and I'll be wearing these glasses until the pink eye is completely recovered. But the good news is I'm feeling good. My eyes are feeling back to normal, and I'm feeling healthy again. So I'm really excited to hear what's going on this week. I always keep up on your newsletter. One of the things that I love seeing before you get into it was we're here for the art. And I love how you're featuring a new artist every day. And talk to us maybe a little bit about the curation of that experience to make sure that you're putting on people that are relevant and matter to you, that bring humility and professionalism and really want to grow long term. But I'm going to let you get into it, and let's see where we take it.
Yeah, well, thanks for that. That's been one of my funnest ventures yet with the Daily Ralpha, having Here for the Art. I mean, we always say that we're here for the art, and it's been amazing to be able to showcase up and coming Web3 artists and give them a platform. I mean, before we came on live, we were talking backstage about all of the different issues with Twitter, and for artists, it's no different. They're having the same challenges that we were discussing backstage. They're not getting, as a platform, they're not getting the reach that they would like. So, having a platform where I can help showcase these artists in partnership with the Time is DAO, which is run in part by Rebecca Bastian, who's a friend of ours, has been amazing. So if you haven't seen that, I encourage you to check it out at the Daily Ralpha. It's a daily feature now that's included in the newsletter, and we showcase a different artist every day, and it's been awesome. And it's a great timing too, because honestly, Craig and Matt, it's been pretty quiet in the space. Actually, fairly uneventful. Volumes calming down, especially over last week. ETH has remained steady, but it feels a little bit like a ghost town. I mean, in this morning's Ralph, I said, "Hey, come on, do something," like the little meme poking a stick at something. That's what it feels like. Although today we started the day with major news. So there's been two big news articles or news bites that have come out over the course of the last couple of days that are phenomenal. First, this morning's is Coinbase announcing its wallet as a service. And the whole concept with that is they've partnered with a couple of platforms, and they want to make it very easy for people to come into the space and not necessarily have to have a deep understanding of how to set up wallets and how to go through that whole process. I'm still digging in a little bit deeper. Maybe we talk about it a little bit more next week and go in depth, but that's very exciting for me because we always talk about onboarding people into the space, and man, what a great way of doing that. The other one is Amazon getting into the NFT game.
Yes.
So there's been rumors that they're coming out with their NFT platform next month in April, which is huge news for two key reasons. One is I heard that they're going to be emailing all of their Prime members about their digital collectible platform. They're calling it Digital Collectibles, which I thought was awesome. But that's close to 160 million people in the US alone that are registered for Amazon Prime. So that's pretty exciting in terms of getting Web3 in front of regular consumers. And the second is that people are going to actually be able to buy these NFTs that are tied to physical goods that are going to be shipped to their houses. So imagine buying a cap or a pair of sunglasses, which you're going to need because from here on out, you have to wear sunglasses every show, Craig. Like you're stuck now. But imagine being able to buy an NFT of the sunglasses, then getting the sunglasses and paying for it with a credit card, right? Without necessarily needing to have a wallet. All of that stuff is happening on the back end. What's the tech, you may ask? I don't know. None of us do. We're still trying to figure that out. I'm sure there's going to be forthcoming announcements about that.
Maybe it's Polygon, and I like the idea or the play of Digital, something that's physically tied to a digital asset.
By the way, I appreciate that you used Digital because I hate fidgetal. Fidgetal is just a bad word in my vocabulary. I still don't know what we should call it, but Digital sounds better than fidgetal.
I like that. I didn't like Digital. And by the way, I butcher it when I try it.
That's good. Well, the last thing I have for you guys today is a little bit of alpha. Obviously, not financial advice. We say that a lot here, but as you know, I'm very bullish on music NFTs, particularly EDM. I'm a huge EDM fan. So on Friday of this week, Helix Records, which is a Web3 first record label, is dropping their Genesis Pass. Now, the reason why that's important to me, and I think it's super cool, and alpha is because Helix Records was started by Patrick Moxey, who was the founder of Ultra Records, where he played a key role in the success of artists like Avicii, Deadmau5, CraigO, David Guetta. So, if you're in the music space and you know anything about Patrick, this is actually a pretty cool thing, or it could turn out to be a pretty cool thing. So I'm watching that closely. But that's what I got, man. Exciting stuff, at least from a consumer perspective today.
Good. And just a quick recap from my end, as far as the Genesis Pass for the EDM music by Helix, this company that is creating music-based NFTs, and this launches on Friday. Is that correct?
Correct.
And what's what blockchain and where and when? How can we find out more?
It's on Ethereum. It's actually a partnership with OpenSea, which actually makes it even more exciting. I believe the mint price is 0.13. But if you go on to OpenSea.com, upper right-hand corner, you'll see drops, and there's a calendar, and you'll see it listed there for Friday.
Right, it drops in OpenSea, and I love that. By the way, since you've been doing Here for the Art, and you launched that section last week, what is the one thing that you've taken away from maybe an alpha insight standpoint on people who are here for the art, but like the profit? What's one thing that people can grab from something that you're learning early on with this new launch?
I'm discovering incredible artists that I didn't even know were around. And these are artists that I think have tremendous amounts of potential, and they just needed a platform to get out in front of a lot of people. So I've already seen, I've collected a couple of pieces from these artists myself, artists who I didn't know were around beforehand. And I've already seen the price of those collections go up. So it's always awesome to see that, both as a collector and as an investor.
I love it. And by the way, Tony, quick screen share if you can. I always try to do the hand singles, but it never works out. For those who would like to subscribe, it's absolutely free. Don't know how long it will be free for, but let me put it this way. With 80,000 subscribers getting the daily Ralpha read, I keep up to date on my news reports, probably now in less than 5 minutes, and I'm grateful for it. And now having you, Ralph, here on the show weekly with these updates are so incredibly powerful. So I'm grateful for that. And we're going to get to the show today. Ralph, stick in a little bit. Maybe there's some learning you'll do from your end and some connections and networking that we can all make happen.
Looking forward to it, brother. Thanks again for having me, as always.
Absolutely. All right, so welcome to Austin from Pennybois. I would describe his journey as coming from a challenged life to the good life while making a positive impact on his Pennybois community and beyond. We will discuss both traditional and decentralized finance to gain insight so that we can plot, plan, strategize, and implement further to gain our success in our own lives. Let's get to it. GM Austin, how are you doing?
Hey, I'm good, buddy. How are you?
Good. I'm sitting here to one of the best looking co-hosts, Mr. MetaMat. I'm not sure if you know
right.
him. You know him?
I don't, but I'd like to.
All right. All right. Well, I'm going to borrow him once a week on Wednesdays, 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, because he's just been an incredible co-host, completely plugged in on our podcast, making sure that we're putting out good things. And then, of course, bringing in some incredible guests such as yourself. Tony, just cue up that screen share. For those that are not engaged with Pennybois alerts, I'd like you guys to just go and hit that subscribe or that follow button. I like to call it the engagement button, but I want to start it off now, and I want to head into some quick stuff. You know, the story of Pennybois started off as it was sort of like a joke word, Pennybois. I've got pennies to my name, and now you've got something that is generating a lot of money, but more importantly, you're helping people in the community. And I think it goes back from that you were an addict at one point, I believe, in whether it was drugs or alcohol, and you took that and you flipped it around and said, I'm going to now put this towards something positive, and the creation of Pennybois. Can you talk to us a little bit about the backstory, when you got started, and when was that moment when you're like, all right, I'm done being broke. We'll call it Pennybois. I'm done with these crap drugs and alcohol, and I'm going to make shit happen. And so you have.
Yeah. So I got clean about 6 years ago. I was basically living in my car because I could not go home any longer. Didn't have much to my name, no self-esteem, no self-worth, and no really idea what I was going to do with my life. When I first got clean, I started an organization that helps families through the same thing my family went through. And we turned that into an intervention business and then digital marketing business for treatment facilities. And I was doing that for a couple years, and I've always been interested in the market, and I've always had that fiend in me that, like, when I get interested in something, man, I'm in it. I'm in it, and I'm going to learn, and I want to be the best. And so I was just trading, and I was posting it on social media, and people started banning me from all these groups. Like, I didn't even know that was a thing, that people had, like, businesses centered around this. And so I would get booted from those groups because they thought I was trying to steal their business, whatever. And so that's kind of where Pennybois came from. I mean, it was a joke. I mean, it's Pennybois with an I, but I love trading like low float I just loved. I mean, everything was a penny stock. This is like during COVID, everything had been beaten under $5, and so I would talk about trading Pennybois, and I noticed that it pushed a button for some people, and I like pushing buttons. So I stuck with the name, and I made the group, and then it just it blew up, man, in a matter of a few months, just because. I think it was authentic. I think at the core of anything you do has to be genuine and authentic, or it's pointless.
I like how you just put that into those words, because I think one of the most important things is you also had to build an army around you. And building that army around you, the ability to, obviously you're getting kicked out of these groups and you're like, no, I'm pretty genuine. I'm fiending for more information, right? Since I can't fiend for this, I'm going to fiend for this. So how did you create such a powerful team? And the reason I ask you that question is I was in your YouTube this morning and I was listening to one of your traders this morning, one of your professional traders. And to me, it made me feel like not only do they care about the outcome of the people who are investing, because they pay, and I know you guys will talk about this in a little bit, Matt, but people pay a certain amount of money each month, in which I'll have Matt talk a little bit about in a second. But what I found really powerful is it felt to me, based on tonation and based upon the chart reading and strategy, that you really care about the outcome of each and every person who comes in and pays, that you want to see a positive outcome. So my question for you is, those that don't have a positive or haven't had a positive outcome, it is a matter of time. But do you and your group, when someone says, I've got X amount of money, are there certain stocks that you have them go towards? Is there an assessment sheet to say this is your risk to reward ratio? Because some people that have a higher propensity for risk can afford to lose more. And those that don't, maybe this isn't for you. Is there sort of an evaluation that you guys do when people are coming on? Or is it come in at your own caution, listen, learn, and then implement?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. I would say more than anything else, the importance of what we do is honestly getting people to just slow down. The reason I posted so much in those groups is because I would see these people getting destroyed. I mean, trading in like the greatest bull market that's ever, in my opinion, been in existence, right? So how does that happen? Because they're not seeing it until it's been on social media and it's blown up 800%, and then they start buying because they weren't convinced, and then they lose their money. And so I would post them when I found them as opposed to after they went, and people started making money. And so they started following me. It kind of built a little rapport in the group, and I didn't ask for anything. I'm a big believer in, like, you do the right shit, and people can tell. People are not stupid. I know some companies kind of treat consumers as if they're dumb. They're not. They can sense bullshit. They can see through the veil, I think, more than most people assume. And so in doing that, like when they see something that's truthful and honest and kind and it's legitimate, I think people flock to that. And like, to speak to your point of like building the team, like you're damn right. Like I do have the best team in the entire fucking world. But why? It brings me back to a conversation I had when I was in rehab the last time. This guy, Mr. Edwards, man, he changed my life. But he pulled me aside and he basically said, "Look, man, you don't get to decide whether or not you're a leader. You only get to make a separate decision. Whether you're a leader or not is not up to you. Now, here's what you do get to decide. You'll either lead people to their salvation as best you can, to the promised land, to the good outcome, or you will lead them off a cliff to their untimely death because you were too ignorant to do otherwise. And you didn't understand the gravity of the responsibility of being a leader. It's like you don't get to choose whether they follow if you're that kind of person. You just get to choose where you lead them." And I've always kind of taken that to heart, and that like the understanding that like I'm not better, worse, or really different than anyone else. It's just when I go, and I'm sure because I have no other choice. And I think people do like that because it's hard to just go and take that risk and do those things. They need that little boost of confidence. Like my core goal and everything that we do is like, I kid you not, is like at the end of the day, if I have impacted someone's life in a way that they now believe in themselves more than they did before they met me, like I've won. That's it.
Mr. Edwards is a brilliant man, and I think
he is a brilliant fucking
no
man.
question about it, because and that was kismet. It was meant to be that you guys had this conversation and that he was going to say those words to you. But the idea that you are a leader, and as you said, you can lead people towards salvation and a better life, or you can compel them to lead them off a cliff. Because again, I only came into your Pennybois and I've been in every once in a while in the YouTube. And I got to tell you, I'm not very much into stocks, not that I wouldn't be. And I think what got me into understanding a little bit more about charts and technical analysis is my handsome co-host, Mr. Meta Matt. But outside of that, I really wasn't interested. But when I went in this morning, I think it was tonation and delivery of content that said, I want to learn more. And I know we're going to talk about the paid subscription. And before you get to it, Matt, I do want to talk to you a little bit about private equity, the Jobs Act of 2012, something that you've spoken about on other podcasts. It allowed everyday people to own private businesses. What immediately impacted that created when looking long term, why this was such an important opportunity on behalf of the people, and took more of the power away from, in a sense, the government, because you had to show yourself to be a financially viable investor privately. Can you talk to us a little bit about that Jobs Act of 2012 and what it meant?
Yeah, I mean, it is very interesting. So in a sense, it gave companies the ability to raise money publicly to non-accredited investors, which is like, there's two sides to it though, right? There's a reason that I think it was always catered towards accredited investors because they trust in them to be more savvy, disciplined, do their due diligence, etc. And some people just like to buy stuff on a hope shot. So, I mean, the onus of responsibility is on the company to like adequately and accurately reflect what they're really doing and give people all the information to make an informed choice. But, should they do that, you have some very interesting opportunities to buy private equity in companies that are looking to go public in 3, 4, 5 years. Because previous to the Jobs Act, I mean, the only opportunity you had was, say you said you had 5 million with like a very large brokerage, you would potentially get access to those opportunities. Not guaranteed, but potentially. Should you not be in that, I guess, upper echelon socioeconomic status, you're never going to see that ever in a million years. And those IPO exits are some of the just fattest cash on cash returns you could imagine, right? Because these companies are valued at, pennies on the dollar or cash flow, like how you traditionally value a business. And then when you get to the public offering, I mean, they're looking at you look at some of these companies, that PE ratio is essentially telling you like, we're going to forward rate this what we think it's worth. So when you see a PE of 100, they're saying we think it's going to be worth 100 times more than their current earnings, right?
Yeah.
So if you think about that, if you're making $1 million, which is pretty cool, but your net profit is like 10 grand a year, that's not great. But then you're now trading at 100 times that, and you sell a little bit of stock, you made out with millions. So I mean, that's the big bang there is getting the right one. But I will say this with anyone with like the Regulation A offerings and some of the ways that you can invest in these companies, at this current moment in the landscape of these deals, I would treat them very carefully. I would treat them as, and I hate to say lottery tickets, but I would. The way private equity works is, look, you shoot at 10 targets and you hope that you hit one, and the return on the one should outweigh all of the capital investment of the other 9. That's kind of the way I think is best
So
served to treat
I
it.
want Matt to share a success story, and thank you for sharing that. I want Matt to share a success story of someone who invested $2,000. I'll let you know the outcome, and Tony, if you can cue that up on the screen share. And I thought it was just pretty impactful. So go ahead, Matt.
Yeah, this is a great story. It's literally a
yeah.
$2,000 to $1.8 million story. This member joined Pennybois stock alerts in November 2022 with no prior trading knowledge, and she was actually pregnant at the time she took her courses and was able to turn, like it says, $2,000 into $1.8 million trading. So I know, Austin, you've actually talked to them. Do you want to just kind of explain, how that worked and what their what their plan was and how they made this happen?
Unbelievable. I would say that disclaimer, results not typical. However, I think that results similar to are absolutely replicable. I know her specifically. What she did right is she paper traded for the first 60 days. She went through the full education course, the full 90-day program we offer. She went through the whole thing before she even started risking her money. And then once she found a very simple strategy that worked specifically in trading options, she just did that over and over and over, did nothing else. So like we talk about all the time, discipline is everything.
Repetitive behavior, and I guess maybe what it goes to is talking a little bit about emotional intelligence. And I think when people, money is funny, and I think we're diving into some of the psychology. I know we'll talk a little bit about chart, and I do want to talk a little bit about the cost to enter Pennybois, because I think it's really something important that people should be aware of. Let's dive a little bit, if we can. I know we talked a little bit about private equity. How does that differ from crowdfunding? And why is that such an important vehicle for long-term building of wealth?
So, I mean, you can, crowdfunding is one of the resources that people can leverage to raise money in a private space now. I mean, so you have different kinds of regulated offerings, which are kind of, as you go up, they're more stringent in terms of the requirements. So up to Regulation A+, which is about as good as it gets. But they can only raise a certain percentage from everyday investors. They still have to raise a certain percentage from accredited investors only. Some of those restrictions are still in place and still affecting the market, but a lot of companies have taken advantage of the Regulation CF, which is the crowdfunding version. I think they could raise, don't quote me, I might be wrong, but I believe you could raise up to 5 million maybe. And that's a lot of money to really get a company started. You just have to, like I said, do your due diligence and be very, very, very judicious in looking through those opportunities to find the right ones and treat them, I would say, as like shotgun spray. You buy 5 in the hopes that 1 pays for the rest.
And we'll talk a little bit about that sizzle, because I think there are some definite criteria that people need to look at before getting involved.
Absolutely.
And just because excitement is created does not mean it is a good option. Mr. Meta Matt, go ahead, my friend.
Well, yeah, we got some great comments in the YouTube. We got Crypto Joe saying how Pennybois University is the best. And then we have another comment here saying, oh, Crypto Sage 26 is in the house. Well, speaking of Crypto Sage, we actually do have some special guests. Tony, if we can bring up our special guest, Crypto with Leo, and our Crypto Ralphie, our other guests as well. So Crypto, how's it going? He's the founder of Core Apes Club. Crypto Ralphie has over 20,000 avid crypto followers on TikTok, also part of the team. As you can see in the YouTube comments, everyone's going crazy about the Core Apes Club. So I just want to, first of all, I just want to say hi, how's it going? And then I want to ask you the question everyone wants to know when it comes to ape projects. Why another ape project?
That's a great question, man. I think, first of all, I'd just like to say thank you for having us on. This is an awesome show. Shout out to everyone that's been on it. Why another ape? I think the best, how can I word it? When you think of the NFT space, what do you think of? You think of apes. You think of Bored Ape Yacht Club. So when Quorum and Sologenic came forward to us and asked us, can you produce the official PFP project of the Quorum network? Because the Quorum mainnet is going live on the 24th of March. We thought, what better to establish ourselves, put an ape project on the Quorum network. And I mean, as you can see from the comments, people are loving it. We've got a really unique outcome in this way, but I think apes in general just represent the NFT space really well. And it's our chance to, leave a footprint and kind of what we like to think, change the game a bit with our project kind of thing.
Right, and you weren't wrong when you said, the NFT space, everyone thinks of the Bored Ape Yacht Club, which is on Ethereum. And so I'm wondering, this Corium, this is actually relatively new to me. I'm wondering why Corium, what is Corium, and how did you pick this?
No, that's a completely fair question. Yeah, so Corium in itself is a third generation layer 1 blockchain. When the team came across to me, it was kind of a no-brainer. I've been pretty much, I got their airdrop initially. They did their initial airdrop a year and a bit ago when Corium initially launched. And since then, they've been working on producing and developing the mainnet. And since then, I've been accumulating because, I'm quite bullish on it. They are created and founded by the same team that created Sologenic. And that's a benefit for those that don't know. Layer 1 blockchains are pretty much the, a table to the space. Everything sits on top of them. And if you believe in crypto, if you believe in growth, if you believe in, the space growing in general, or just decentralization, you're going to be bullish on layer 1s. So when it came to Corium, I just saw it as a massive opportunity. The way that our project is set up and its utility, with it being such a low market cap, it is currently sitting at $60 million, which, if you look at the rest of the space and other layer 1s, that means there's a lot of opportunity there for growth. So I thought, if I can somehow tokenize people's ability to support this network and support the growth of Corium, then I thought, it's brilliant. This is a hell of an opportunity.
I know there's a lot of firsts being done in the Web3 space. I know with the on-chain monkeys, you have the shirt back there, a project that you're very heavily involved with, Craig. They were the first on Bitcoin, the first 10,000 project on Bitcoin. I see in the comments here, it looks like your project was the first 100 apes on Sologenic. What is the when it comes to these apes, when it comes to Corium, I see here, like, what's the floor price? I see here a solo ape sold for 20,000 yesterday. Logic John was saying, what's the floor price for a right now?
So the floor price currently, it's currently in the whitelist stage, is 300 XRP per NFT. And as I said, the whole utility of this project is based around each NFT is a tokenized way of saying you have a stake on the community or the Corium community validator that the project has hold of. For those that don't know, the project is we're a brother sister project with Core Heroes, with a project called Core Heroes, and they have acquired a community validator. Now, the way this is different to other projects in the space, and something I personally had a massive problem with when really getting myself into the NFT space, was so many NFT projects are nothing more than funding rounds and based around speculation. Basically they're all based around promises. You never know what's actually going to come from it. You're putting your money into something, but you don't know if the team's going to produce anything from it. The difference with our project, thankfully being partnered up with Core Heroes, is we've already acquired the community validator. And other than what we're doing now and what Core Heroes have done in regards to tokenizing access to it through NFTs, your normal everyday person wouldn't be able to have access to a validator and to support the network and therefore earn rewards from it. So yeah, in regards to floor price, it's 300 XRP. We also have bulk orders as well for those that want to buy more than 10. It's 250 XRP per NFT it works out to. And then we have had some projects. We had an awesome whale that's from the project Panda Bears. They bought 300 of them, and that's going to go into their project's treasury so they can pay out rewards to their NFT holders. So it really is a beautiful space in the the XRPL NFT space.
And yeah, speaking of, I know XRP Army is a huge army. They're very energetic. It looks like your club here, the Core Apes Club, is also a very, very strong community. I just want to bring it to Ralphie, Crypto Ralphie. Speaking of community, I know you have a huge community of your own, over on TikTok and just in general. What brought you over to Core Apes, and what made you decide to hop on board?
So it was a no-brainer for me. I'm always trying to navigate the space and what's real and what's not. And when Leo spoke to me about the opportunity and Corium actually reaching out and wanting to work with us, I felt like it was a great opportunity to put a real NFT project out there with real utility that isn't forced. Something that a lot of projects try to do with rewards is they try to force where that liquidity is going to come from. With Core Apes, it's coming from the validator. It's simple, it's easy, it's brilliant, and it was a no-brainer for me.
Awesome. I know we do want to bring it back to awesome. Before I do, Ralphie, I know you are you and Sage go way back. I also am a huge fan of Crypto Sage, a good friend of mine. We've been watching his stock videos recently. I know he's been kind of diversifying when it comes to his portfolio, right?
It's interesting. I've been trying to get Sage to pay attention to that side for a little while. I don't know how you did it, Matt, but congrats to you. I wasn't able to do it.
Well,
So,
luckily we have a whole bunch of a big team of analysts doing a bunch of research for us. Actually, Amma Jamma is one of them who actually helps with the stock research study documents that Sage does talk about on the TikTok, and she'll be actually giving a stock pick of the week as well as just or stock rundown, I guess, of the market. But yeah, any questions that you have, Craig?
I have a question. Can I ask a question?
Yeah, of course.
And you skipped right past me, but it's all good, dude. It's just like how you treat me.
Go
That's
for it,
fine.
Austin. Go
All of
for
a
it.
sudden, you bring the Englishman on, and all of a sudden, I'm nothingness. But hey,
There we go.
can you just explain to an idiot like myself the validator piece? What is that? In
So
layman's
in order
terms?
for for example, a layer 1 to work, a decentralized platform to work, for it to be decentralized, you have to share how the transactions on the network are validated.
Okay.
And being that you can distribute these validators out to different people all around the world, so it's not controlled by one central entity. And of course, us taking control or in partnership with Core Heroes, having our own community validator, we are therefore supporting the network by validating transactions, and there's other things that validators do as well, and in turn you earn rewards from it, and that's pretty much simply where the rewards come from for the NFT holders.
Interesting. Thank you.
Anything for you, Craig?
Yeah, I think it's really cool. So I've heard a lot about XRP and just learning how everybody's moving and building on different blockchains, like people on Multiverse X, people on Ethereum, people on Solana. I think it's incredibly powerful what you're doing. And obviously social currency is important. We see a lot of your people coming in, so they're big believers in you. And I guess it goes back to the thing, then we're going to bring it back to Austin in a second. I don't know that I have a question. I just stay in touch with me. Continue to keep me posted on what you do. I always like to share great things on this incredible platform alongside of MetaMatt. But I think it goes back to leadership. Leadership people will show up, and you get two options, right? As Austin so beautifully said through Mr. Edwards, is you get to lead them off a cliff if you so choose, or you get to lead them towards salvation for a better life. And that's what I hope our podcast brings, CraigO's Crypto Corner. And so, no, it's just an honor to have you guys hang out in StreamYard. I don't really have any questions today. I see a lot of projects come through. Ralph Quintero, you should definitely connect with the Daily Ralpha. You should learn more about what he's doing. He evaluates tens of thousands of projects. But one thing, Austin, before I have you come back, and I do want to pop Ralph Quintero back on for a second if I can. Oh, no, he's gone? Okay, totally cool.
He's gone.
I love you, Ralph. But one of the things that I did want to say is that it's really important, because off a cliff, I was thinking about it this morning as I was in Joe O'Rourke's Twitter Spaces, and we talk about mental health and well-being, and this is part of the DGen network, is we got to share a little piece of ourselves. And so I might not have suffered with addiction through drugs or alcohol, but I suffered through it with anxiety and depression. And one thing, a message that I want to get out to everybody who's here today: if you suffer with any anxiety or depression or things, reach out to people. You can even connect with me. And I can tell you that at 45, going through it in my late 20s to early 30s, I'm grateful for that experience, because it allows me to hopefully have a level of leadership to men younger than me, to share my experiences and let them know that it's okay to be vulnerable, but it's okay to readjust and realign, and drink lots of water every day, get 8 hours of sleep, and exercise, and eat well, make good decisions. And I think that's a glass of water in your hand, sir. So I appreciate it. Austin, I want to bring it back to you, gentlemen. Thank you so much for popping on here. You can hang out in the back as we bring it back to our man of the hour. I want to talk about other people's money. There's nothing better. And by that, I want to share my example, and then I'd love you to share a quick story on other people's money, because I'm grateful for other people's money. In that regard, this podcast came way in part of my good friend, Mr. Adam Hirsch, who is my investment partner on our podcast, along with the incredible works of Downtime TV. I hope they'll do a camera view of this incredible space today. Wink, wink, Tony. But one of the things that I want to bring out, and I think it's so incredibly important, is if you can share an idea around people and what they're doing, I think I think you can get people to invest in your idea if it's organized in a manner that creates the confidence. And it goes back to what we were going to talk about before, which is how do you evaluate an opportunity? So my friend evaluated an opportunity, said, Craig, you're a go-getter. Craig, you like to learn. Craig, I know that you don't know everything and you're willing to say it. I'm willing to invest in you. Now, the criteria bar for me wasn't as high. We're talking a lot of money that's been invested into this, but maybe not the big, $100,000, $1 million deals. I mean, a lot of money's been put into this. Let me be clear. But how do you evaluate opportunities? And what are like your first 3 primary criteria in order to do that?
I would say, like, first and foremost, like, can I understand it like in less than 5 sentences? If I can't, then it's too convoluted and no one's going to understand it. Because it's like when you look at an investment, I feel like I have to understand it, and it has to be simple enough that I know other people understand it, because I'm only buying it because I think down the road other people are going to value it for more, right? Like, that's the whole point, is you invest in something to grow it and then eventually sell it or just be proud of it. I don't really know yet. I haven't sold any of the businesses, so maybe you never sell. Who knows? But in terms of, trading and stuff like that, it's like I need to buy an asset, something that I think down the road is going to be valued more by somebody else at a point in which I no longer feel it's valued that much, and let it go, or I'm not willing to take the risk anymore. So I'd say I have to understand it. I need to feel like I'm seeing something before other people, because I think that's kind of the core to any good investment is timing. As much as say you can't time the market, it depends on how you trade. You absolutely can, in a sense, not perfectly, but you can in a way that your risk is so calculated that you couldn't possibly lose unless you disavow the plan that you've set forth. I think with investing and trading, the third one's kind of like 2 parts. I think in any trade, I guess, or even any investment opportunity or any business, like you have to have a thesis first. And in order to have a thesis, you have to understand yourself. If you can't understand yourself, you have no idea how this is going to relate to your life. But if you can build that thesis to determine, I think this is going to happen, I think this is going to happen, and here's why, you then build a plan that fits into that thesis, that A, manages your risk, manages your time, manages your opportunity, and gives you an outcome that yields growth, because like that's what anybody wants, is an outcome that yields growth. So I think if you can come up with a thesis that makes sense, that is forward thinking and creative and inventive, whatever, and then you can build a simple plan around that and follow it and stick with it when it's hard, because everyone quits when it gets hard. I get asked all the time. I was on this like business entrepreneurship thing or whatever, and like most people won't start a business. So why most people fail at trading is because they just don't believe in themselves enough to actually follow through and deal with the hardship. Like they don't realize what goes into it. You almost have to have nothing. Like the most dangerous man is one with nothing to lose. And I think you see some of the best traders rise from the ashes, or like the one you showed earlier, start with like $2,000 and think, oh, I'm never going to make it anywhere, but maybe I can. Like that's all it takes is a maybe. I mean, my whole life came together on the idea that like, maybe I don't have to be someone I hate anymore. Like maybe I don't have to be someone I'm not proud to be anymore. It's just a maybe. There's no guarantee. It was just a maybe. Like that was enough belief, enough faith, if you will, to actually do something about it. And I think with those investment opportunities, you have to kind of keep that same mindset of like knowing when it's time to leave, but also being willing to stick through even if it doesn't make sense.
And knowing, by the way, I think the biggest talent aside from a work addiction, right, flipping that on its back, was able to convince people that you had the goods, right? And so a couple things that stuck out to me in what you just said was market viability, right? Can you see this? Is this a new entrance into the space?
Do people need it or want it? Yeah.
Exactly. And can number go up, right? Because that's part of investing. Can people purchase it for more than you did? And then cash position and revenue. And then company willingness, right? Because you're being very transparent. I think transparency is key. And I think a lot of people don't talk about that, is you can be profitable and you can be on a capitalistic model, right? Because that's what business is generated on, is profits.
Mm-hmm.
But you got to do it in the right way. And you have to convince enough people that what you're doing makes sense, is that it has a level of viability. What are some tactics? Because I started off in this space as a crypto degen. And when I say that, with a very small amount of money, when I say maybe small amount, maybe $5,000. And I threw it into Atari and I threw it into this one. And all that I did by stupid sheer luck, and this is well before the podcast, is I saw the number go up. And then certain points I would sell. And we're going to just dive a little bit on the psychology. I would sell. And Austin, would you believe it? I felt shitty. I felt shitty because the number kept going up, but I sold. Yet I wasn't thankful enough that I took a profit. So I did something stupid. I deviated from that plan, right? Like a lot of immature investors do. And why they need Pennybois, why I'd recommend it, not financial advice, but it's the psychology about a group of people hanging together, talking about price points, talking about the plan of action, talking about the related news. Those were things that I didn't have. All I had was my trusty little MetaMask wallet. And then I could go onto market cap, and I could then pull the address and I could buy the token. Ooh, look at me. I'm such a fancy investor. Until I lost all my money, because what I did is I wrote it up, and like an elevator, I got back in and I wrote it right down, right to the very bottom. And I learned a lesson from that. And the thing that was appealing to me about digital asset communities was the fact that it was community built. So even if it went down, I felt like we can champion this, and there's more to champion. And we think about social currency. So here it is. What are some tactics right now for our Web3 degens? And this helps our Web2 family out that's right now lining up our YouTube, which we appreciate. I'm grateful. Hit that subscribe button. Don't worry, I'll get to that link tree shortly, Renee, I promise. But what are some Web2 strategies for trading stocks, traditional finance, that our decentralized finance group around cryptos can learn? Is there something in the way of charts? Is there things that they could read into? Well, what are your thoughts around that?
Well, I think to know oneself is the only way. I mean, that's it. I mean, Web 2.0, 3.0, 9. Doesn't matter. It's irrelevant. We're people. Like, we're people that do things that everyone does, whether we want to accept that or not. We're more similar than we are different. And I think the biggest crux of anyone in anything that they do, again, is an ignorance to who they really are, to understand themselves. You know, Carl Jung always talked about the shadow, the part of you that whispers in the night and says things that you don't want to hear. You mentioned a good point earlier about anxiety and all that stuff. It's a survival mechanism. Your mind is trying to tell you to look at something because something is not right. People look at it as like this horrible affliction. No, it's a gift. It's a signal. It is literally it's the glowing light upon the thing that which you must look, but people are afraid to look. And I think what community does is it gives you the courage to look because you have other people that are doing it, so you see it's possible, but it also helps you hold yourself accountable. There are people in my life that help me hold myself accountable. I don't rely on them in that sense, but I count on them. Again, it always starts with me. I think I'm a firm believer that I'm inherently selfish. I can only truly understand my own perspective. I don't know what it's like to be you. I don't know. But what I do know is that I like going to sleep at night, liking myself. Like, I like going to sleep feeling like I helped people today. I did something good today. I was kind today. I was compassionate today. So like when we started the nonprofit and I'm doing all this stuff and these parents are like thanking you, and it's very hard to not blow up and feel like you're bigger than life, because you're not. I mean, believe me, I went through it where I did feel that way for moments till I realized that like I'm selfish in helping them, in the sense that I like being the guy that helps. So it's never really about them. It's only ever about me. And if I can know that, I think that stepping into that power, especially with investing and especially with the Web3 and the decentralized stuff, is like you can believe in a project as much as you want. That doesn't mean it's a viable project for you. It doesn't. But it all comes down to the leadership. If the leader of that project is not putting those people above themselves at all times, it will never go anywhere. It will die. People go bankrupt, and you will have funded this guy's Maserati. You'll have funded this guy's Lamborghini or whatever bullshit he wanted to buy because he was just operating out of a place of pride, lust, and greed, essentially. You'll get screwed. And so like, I think you have to feel confident that whoever is the one who's spearheading this project to the next step knows themselves, well enough to put you first.
Well, that's
Because I
actually
think
that's what drew me to Pennybois myself personally, because there's a lot of trading groups out there, a lot of people putting out big gains and big profits and, great education. And, like we're not the only group out there that provides alerts or education, but we are the only group out there that has Austin leading us. And, and he created a team based around that mentality that like, hey, like we're not here to, to be great traders who have, these big egos. We're here to help people. That's what matters. And Austin, the reason why I know that you're genuinely here to help people is, you're not just part of Pennybois. So you're not just the founder of Pennybois Stock List. You're also the founder of Never Alone Recovery. I know y'all got a contest going on right now. Do you want to speak a little bit about Never Alone Recovery and kind of how, having this, this startup already, you already had Never Alone Recovery going before Pennybois, how you kind of brought your, I guess, psychology, behind running that type of business, a nonprofit based around helping people, genuinely just helping people to kind of like having this, in the finance world where, it's kind of, there's a fine line between helping people and, shilling stocks, is like a lot of people like to say, especially in the crypto and Web3 space. Everyone's a shiller if you're making videos. So how did you kind of bring like the helping people mentality to the finance space when it came to Pennybois?
I think kind of what I just talked about. I mean, I think the core of it is just like authentically representing yourself and doing everything you can to put them first. I mean, whenever we go and we research these stocks and we're looking through these companies and we're doing this, like we know that it has to be a good enough opportunity for us that we'd want to take it for ourselves. Like we'd want to take the risk ourselves, put it in our own portfolio. It's something that we'd put our own money on. And I think you could put a lot of confidence in that. If you see me putting my own money on something, you know that I'm not, I'm not just full of it and just telling you, oh, this is going to be great, but I don't have any risk involved. You know what I mean? I don't have any skin in the game. I think that's what made us kind of grow in the beginning, is that like here it is. I'm showing you, this is what I'm doing. I'm doing this right now. You get to see me do it. And I think that
even losses, right, Austin?
Sorry?
Even the losses, right? Because I know a lot of groups don't want to talk about the losses.
Oh yeah, if you try to pretend there's no losses, you're lying. I mean, it's bullshit. I mean, that's the thing, is if you know how to manage risk appropriately, realistically, you only have to win 50% of your trades. It's not a high win rate. So if you
Austin,
can do better than that, you can crush it.
I want to throw something at you, right? So the best selfish to be is the one where you feel good from helping others. So maybe for us, we set a number of, I want to help X number of people a day, right? Because everything, quantify a number go up, or you've helped more people, you go to bed at night and you go, I'm important or I'm needed. I was having a conversation with my friend as we were all away this weekend on a family vacation, and all the families got together. We went skiing up in New Hampshire. And I said, I'm an incredibly selfish person, but I hope for the right reasons. I want to help people. I want to make impact. Part of the reason why this platform is developing the way that it is, and part of the reason why, MetaMatt shares with me and Ralph Quintero shares, is because I want to be selfless with my time. And in that selfish is that I provided value to them once or twice a week. And it's built an incredibly powerful friendship between us. And I'm grateful for it. Downtime TV, all the things that they do. But also you said know oneself. And I'm going to dig a little bit further. And by the way, know oneself, Jordan Peterson, Carl Jung, he's talked a lot about him. And to me, is someone that I connect with. I try to stay very neutral on a lot of heavy topics on purpose. But one is be kind and respectful to other people. But I like diving out further and expanding my mind outside of what is often taught in mainstream. And I like to ask questions and engage with everybody. So I want to press you a little bit more from a technical standpoint, right? We talked about, does this have a use case? Let's talk a little bit about the charts. And I know that we have one of our chart people, Emma Jamma, and we're going to bring her in a second. But I want to dig a little bit further from a technical standpoint, right? What are some things that you look at when you're initially looking at any chart? It could be any stock. What are a couple things that you're looking for initially to go, yeah, I want to look at this further, or it's out of here, Emma Jamma, Meta, it's done. Don't even talk about this. This is a waste of time, and it's not going to be good for our people.
That's a phenomenal question. The weekly chart. So like when you're looking at a stock, you can essentially segment in different time intervals, right? Like look at it like life. If you look at 5 minutes of your life, a difficult 5 minutes, you lost someone you care about, and then you try to look at that as your whole life, it looks really bad, right? But say you lost someone, but you also had 30 years of the most wonderful moments you've ever had with them. When you put it into that larger perspective, that like 30,000 foot view, it changes things. And so like that's the same thing with trading, is if you look at a 5 minute chart, you're getting only a small snippet of what's going on right here, right now. If you look at the weekly and the monthly charts, you're getting a broader scale understanding of how it's been going and how it's going right now. And then you can go from there to extrapolate. I mean, all we can do is work off past data to extrapolate what we think will happen. So like two things right off the bat is like, if you're going long on a stock, when you're buying it to hold it for a while and then sell it, I want to see uptrend on the weekly chart or clear sign of reversal on the weekly chart. That would be first and foremost. And then you could just keep it simple and look at something like RSI over 50, showing that the buying strength is tilted, biased to the buy side rather than sell side.
That's incredibly valuable. Thank you for allowing me to dive on that one with you, Meta.
Yeah, I want to bring it over to Amma Jamma, Tony. If we can get Amma Jamma on the screen. She is a crypto and stock analyst, or one of our experts, actually. She's also our live trader Tuesday through Thursday. We're just going to ask you, Amy, just a general consensus of the market, what you're looking at, whether it be crypto stocks, just what you're thinking, as far as the market goes this week.
I'll use the SPY as example. Thanks, Matt. Hi, guys. Hi, Austin. The SPY in particular, there's always a bullish and a bearish scenario to really any stock. And a couple things you have to consider is this week we have Jay Powell speaking. He's literally he's testifying in the House of Representatives today. We didn't really get the dump today that a lot of people had expected. I think that the retail trader, one thing I would definitely consider when you're looking at, sentiment of the market is when you see an overwhelming consensus across social media platforms biased one way, expect it to go almost the opposite way more times than not. And I would never get your information off social media as far as stock trading, like the technical aspect of it. It's great to hear and catalyst those type of things. But like the SPY, for example, I make no mistakes. I'm not saying I'm at all bullish on the SPY, but I think one thing to really take into account right now, and I'm talking long-term trading, not investing, is we've been over the 200 moving average on the daily chart for a good 60 days now. I mean, since, the beginning of the year, almost the entire year of 2023 has been over that 200 MA on the daily. That's our moving average. It's a lagging indicator of the last 200 days of the market. And we bounced right off of that 200 a couple days ago. So that's my level. If you had to look at one thing for market sentiment for our blue chip companies, is the next time we come down to test this 200 moving average, which we will pretty soon here, I'm guessing, if we lose that level, we're coming down hard. I believe if we lose that level, 375's in the cards, and probably even lower than that. And again, this is trading more than investing. This isn't buy and not look at it for 2 years. This is over the next couple months. And if we bounce off that strongly with conviction, and hold that $400 to $405 level or 4,050 for SPX, that's where I'm feeling a little bullish over the next month or two. I think that's a really key indicator that you've kind of got to look at, because once something breaks and holds that level on a blue chip stock, it takes a lot to really fall beneath it.
Anna, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
What?
Amy.
Oh, Amy. I apologize, Amy.
That's
Hi.
Anna's sitting in the studio over here.
Got it. Okay. Oh, I was looking over at Anna. Thank you. All right. So, Amy, what sectors right now have you excited around investment? Is there a certain storyline around with Pennybois that you guys are seeing right now, and what sector would that be?
It's biotechs. They've got so absolutely wrecked in 2021 into 2022. These hot companies, something like even one GNS that just ran a little while ago, or just any stuff, biogenomics, those type of tickers, they literally got so wrecked for the last 18 months or so. And you're starting to see a lot of them start to, where it's so consolidated. I think a good chart to really look at, just for small caps in general, is something like, Root on, and this isn't necessarily bio. This is a micro cap though, a small cap under a 10 million stock or cap. And you can see on these that they start to, when you see a stock that's sold off for a good 18 months and you start to see that curl back up, you see it trade sideways for a little while, then you start to see that curl where like, okay, I think we finally reached the match pain level where there's no interest in shorting it. It's just been obliterated 95% in the last 18 months, this and that. And you start to see a little life and volume come in. Those are the stocks. And to me, it's definitely biotech stocks and small cap stocks right now.
Amy,
For the first time in a long time.
I got two questions for you based on the chat. I'll go with the first one. As you can see in the YouTube chat, we have a whole bunch of Core 8 Clubs Army in there, which I like. I think a lot of them are also XRP Army. So I know, Amy, you are one of our crypto analysts as well. What are your thoughts on XRP? And keep in mind, we have the XRP Army here watching.
Please go follow me before she gives me.
I absolutely love XRP.
There we go.
Here's the reality of XRP. And this is a super generalized consensus of XRP is this: when it's something that in the US market was really difficult for the average investor to buy for a very long time, and it still held its own, it still stayed relevant, and kept adding and building that entire time as it had legal issues it was dealing with. That alone, and just everything behind XRP in general. XRP is a top 5 crypto for me, and like that's legit. I'm not just saying that. I know it's easy to say that. I love Ripple. I've accumulated it. It's one of the cryptos I leverage trade the most often in our Sister Titan Discord. It's one I love.
Didn't they essentially use crypto as a funding agent for their company? Like, that's what I love, is like they worked this genius. It's the smartest thing I've ever seen. Is like they were the first, in my opinion. You talk about, the private equity and the raise. Like, didn't they essentially use the liquidity of the coin to raise money to operate the company? So like it's almost like buying stock, but it was not stock.
I believe so. I'd have to look deeper into that. So.
That's so
Amy,
much.
I want to ask you. I want to throw you one last question if I can. So we talked a little bit about technical and biotechs taking a big bloodbath during everything that happened. Let me throw this out to you from a fundamental standpoint. And someone gets involved in Pennybois, and for the Pennybois family that's in here, shout out to you. I appreciate you coming in and listening, and also with our crypto fam from XRP. It's pretty awesome. From a fundamental standpoint, I always believe you come in as an observer. So if somebody comes in on paid, they're getting a paid subscription, and we'll talk a little bit about that, Matt. You'll cue that up. What are some basic fundamentals on around observation? So there's sort of like a period. Is it a week? Is it 2 weeks? Come, learn, listen, understand some of the fundamentals. Now, mind you, from my end, the thing that I've worked very hard on is becoming a conversationalist for my podcast and growing with Matt. I'm now just starting to be exposed to these things and starting to open my eyes. And what I realize is I go, Matt, I've got all this money. Let's go. What do I need to do? And you might say, Craig, you come in, you listen, you learn, and then you implement. So plot, plan, strategize, and implement, and then move forward. What is that timeline for you when someone comes in? Do you say, hey, guys, caution, don't go off the black diamond if you're going skiing. Let's start on the green trail. Let's get you over here. Let's get you comfortable. Tell me a little bit about that for Pennybois from fundamental standpoint.
I think that's a fantastic question, because as you were saying that, the first thing I thought was slow down. Because you get there's always another day to trade, and there's always 20,000 other tickers to trade. So as you start to acquire, so first of all, obviously Pennybois, the education and really learning the fundamentals of trading and staying away from option day trading as a beginner. A lot of the platforms like Webull, you can paper trade. I think paper trading is critical, because here's the thing. Every dollar you don't lose is a win. So for paper trading for 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, especially with higher risk type stocks like SPX and SPY and these weekly contracts that they'll lure a lot of people like to trade. Like in crypto, you're high leverage, go low leverage, slow down a little bit, paper trade, because we're still going to be here in 2 months. Great trades are still going to be here next week, and great trades are still going to be here 2 weeks from now. None of us are, are we here? A thing I say a lot in the streams is, are we here to trade or are we here to make money? Meaning you don't always have to take the trade. If we're here to make money, slowing down and finding those setups that really, really make sense and listening to the analysts, because it is a community. You've got great information, questionable information, and everything in between. But the great thing about the Pennybois community is, shameless plug time, is that it's not toxic. Everybody literally lifts each other up in the community, and the education's there for the taking. Ask questions. If you are coming into trading, whether it's in Pennybois or not, there's no such thing as a bad question. And slowing down, I would say, are my two biggest ones.
And
Definitely.
Amy, speaking of community, once again in the chats, we have Richard and Phil both saying Happy Women's Day to Amy. And
Happy Women's Day.
First of all, Happy Women's Day to everyone in the audience and here in the studio, and Amy, of course. I want to ask a question off of that. What is it like? Because especially you're also in crypto, but even the stock, especially the stock market, NFT market is a little bit different. They are a little bit more progressive when it comes to this topic, but when it comes to being crypto and a stock trader, not only that, an analyst, what is it like being a woman in this space, in this finance world?
I mean, it's a mixed bag, because at first people are, like, I have a name that is obviously female. So people know from the get-go, I'm a female trader, this and that. I think that it's great. It's a mixed bag, because I think that in general, when I show success, people are more impressed. It's like I get a little extra advantage in that.
Woman was able to do that. Oh boy.
Yes.
Wow.
It's true. I mean, it's true. And then, like, I have a lot of personality. So, like, live trading, this and that, I'm sure, like, it could be like, like, I'm an emotional trader. I'm a female. So I can relate to emotional trading. And I just pigeonholed the shit out of myself saying that. But, like, I feel the emotions trading. So I think it's not practical to say trade without emotion. That's not going to happen. So I think I bring a great representation of how to identify the emotions in trading and not let them work against you.
I love it. Nikki says trade like a girl. I love it.
What's
Love
really
you, Nikki.
awesome is you bring both, as a woman, you bring the emotion, but you also bring the logic to it, and that's incredibly powerful. And so, Austin, I think she deserves a raise. I'm just
women are better traders. You can mark that on the record. Why? Because I think that they leave a lot more of the ego at home. Men, and I think also biologically, are tied a little bit more to the provider role, right? And like, as we understand that in Western culture, it's money. So I think I just think that women are better equipped to be better at this personally.
Yeah.
I just think they are. I think there's just a certain logic that comes with a woman, and I don't know, or get married and you'll understand. It just makes sense. And it's not just like a shtick. Like, I thought it would be a shtick, but it's not. There are certain things I think men understand a little more than women understand, and women understand a little more than men understand. And I think trading, that ability to check the ego or not need to bring it in full force and representation, gives them an edge. Because I'll tell you this, Amy and there's one other chick I know that trades, are probably the two best traders I've met, and they're both women. And I met a lot of traders.
I love that. And
you did the math.
Let me throw this out to you, Austin, and Amy as well, as you can chime in. Cryptos, we know that the XRP you're very excited by, and I'll be looking at Ripple again. I think it's incredibly important. I also like Polygon, and I think Ethereum first to market. I think they're doing a lot of incredible things in the space. Are there any other cryptos that, maybe 2 or 3 other cryptos that we should mention that people should just, keep an eye on? I think Solana. I'm just throwing it out there. What do you guys think?
I'll let you answer first, Austin.
I don't know. I've always liked Anchor. I think that one's an interesting one. I think it's ANKR. That one's always been interesting to me. Jackson's pretty much sold me on the whole IOTA thing. So that's another one that he's peddled his goods to me.
Our Titan trading analyst.
He's convinced me with all that he said. But I think, like you mentioned with the XRP, I mean, I always feel like Bitcoin leads the pack, and it's just kind of like it's the godfather. And so I always like having exposure to that. Same with Ethereum. It is interesting as long as they build the right projects. I've always been a big Polygon fan, 100%. As you mentioned, I think that that's a very interesting project. But I think to me, it's like the moment I really bet the farm is when I see that. See, I was the biggest believer in Cardano. Like, some of the things that Charles Hoskins has done, like, I saw so much application in private business with what they were developing, especially in like healthcare and like records privacy. And they just kind of shit the bed. They did not fall through. You know, projects did not flock to them to build, and I think that's a scary thing. So, like, if evaluating crypto, I'd look to see like who wants to build on what they've got going on, like what projects want to be a part of their ecosystem. And if you have a number of quality projects flocking to one ecosystem, I think you can kind of determine that that's one that's seeing mass adoption at scale, and it means that they'll probably be successful. Because like with all this stuff, it's always a liquidity challenge. So how do you bring liquidity? And like Craig always has been mentioning with the social proof, social trust, but you need liquidity. We can pretend that this isn't about money, but it will always be about money. And again,
Yep.
you can believe in it all you want, but if the money's not there, it's not real and it's not going to happen, and it will affect you personally. There's a difference between supporting something and betting your life savings on it.
I do want to talk about the PFP, but before we do, your PFP, because it's a great looking one, Dad. I love it, the big quench, and we're gonna talk about that in a second. But you know, we talk about who's building, right? And we think about digital assets. And one of the things that once I couldn't understand charts and I didn't have great people around me like Matt constantly creating incredible content for Pennybois, I didn't have the right people around me in that regard. So what did I go to? Well, automatically, I wanted to learn about digital asset NFT communities. I wanted to see what they were doing with their PFPs, what access is such at the top of the hour. Ralph Quintero mentioned about music-based NFTs and the first launch of a really big music collection. And I kind of think like, you know, first to market and market leaders. And I think it's incredibly important when you have people building and that provide, for instance, last week, quick screen share if you can, Tony, and then I'm gonna circle back around to your PFP. We had Bunchu, and he came on, Bunchu Bets. And when he came on, he's one from Forum 3, is one of the 3 founders of Forum 3. They're bringing Starbucks into Web3. And what it really based on is customer loyalty, rewards, and intimately engaging with your base in such a manner. And they're slowly rolling it out. It's on the Polygon blockchain, secondary sales on Nifty Gateway. So I want to come back to you, Austin, on this. Your PFP, what does it stand for? Why did you get it? And what does it represent to the overall community?
Wait, what's PFP?
Your profile picture on your Twitter page.
Oh, the NFT. Okay.
Yes,
Your Crypto Mori.
This
like,
guy.
Crypto Mori.
involved in.
This guy. Okay.
Yeah.
You called it
I was a
PFP,
little
and I was
Web3
like,
fancy.
what
Not
the
all of
hell
us
is
know
he
what
talking
PFP
about?
is,
I
fancy
felt
term.
like a boomer. I didn't know. So I just like the idea of having that as the picture. I think that's fun. It made me feel like a kid again. It was exciting. But their project was the first NFT project, honestly, that I ever saw that I said, that doesn't look like a total scam. And then we spoke to them, and Duck got me in there, and I was like, wow, these are real people. And then they explained the utility, and I was like, oh, immediate, real world, practical application. Also in the mental health space, so I cared more about it, but easy to understand, as we talked about, right? You buy this, access to mental health care, simple transaction, right? And online, like that too. Very easy to understand. Got to meet the founder of the project, legitimate guy. I'm like, he's honest and he actually cares, but he also has practical business experience, enough so to actually make this viable for the long term, because it's got to be sustainable. And then just seeing some of the social media, the community, that was the third piece. Like, wow, these people really care about this. They really like it. They really support it. They give a shit, just like our community does. Like, that's a huge piece. And I think like the future of any and all brands is community. Like, look at it. Target has a Discord. Like, that's ridiculous, until I realized like my wife would join that, because if they have like exclusive coupons, deals, whatever, I guarantee you she would figure out how to get in there to look at that stuff, because she cares about that, right? And so as you build these communities, that was like one of the smartest branding things in the world Target did, where they really just like aimed for like 30-year-old white women, and they started building all these shticks around it, right? Or maybe it just developed. I don't know. I think it was a marketing play, but it was brilliant. It was like one of the most genius things I've ever seen. So if you can build like a personality and brand identity, and you kind of show the world, here's the personality that likes us, and it becomes then a thing people want to belong to. Because like everybody wants to put themselves in a box and fit somewhere. It's just natural human nature. So if you can create a box that's welcoming to a lot of people, that they can fit, and understand what you're doing, I think you're going to crush it. But yeah, so that's the story of that NFT. The community was the final piece, but it's like, it's a practical and simple business that has a lot of benefit. The utility is immediate. It's easy to understand. The founder is a great guy that sounds genuine, authentic as everything I know. And then the community is awesome.
Yeah, for those who don't know, he's talking about the Crypto Mories NFT. They provide mental health care benefits via an app. It's called Impact Suite. If you're a holder of the Mories NFT, you get access to this Impact Suite app. Has a whole bunch of great resources there for mental health care help. I actually went with the Law City team to their offices in Jersey. They're a law firm, and they bought, I believe, it's like 30 of them off of, they sweep the floor, and they provided these NFTs, these non-fungible tokens, to their employees as healthcare benefits, which was for never before done. We're talking about how first happening in the space. That was a big one. When I saw that happening, I'm like, all right, this project's legit. If a law firm is getting involved and using this to provide healthcare, and when I was there onboarding these people, these people never heard about NFTs before, but they were like, this is great. This is huge. Like, typically, you get your benefits through your employer, and then when you leave, you're out of luck. But with these NFTs, even if you leave the law firm, they still have access to this mental health care utility. I know that's really important to you, Austin. I want to talk about once again, Never Alone Recovery. I'm going to put in the chat a code that you can text. The phone number is 219-402-3836. Code is 266. And we were talking about scams earlier. This is this is more of a Web2. I call it a scam. People can call it what they like, but I know there's a lot of $1 million hospitals out there taking, winning these contests, taking the grant money, and then just price gouging the people who really need help. Need health care. And I know you're trying to fight this with this contest with Never Alone Recovery. Do you want to talk about that really quickly, Austin?
Yeah, thank you. So basically, look, if you got a phone and you want to do something awesome that takes no time but genuinely will help thousands of people, you take that number and you text those two codes. What are they? I forgot. It's 266 and 764. You could send, all you have to do is send those three numbers to that number. You could do it once a day. It is a local contest in my area, and we're going for a few of the contests. Basically, if we win, we'll get a ton of exposure, and the hope is that we'll be able to finally secure the grant funding. Right now, all the federal funding is flowing through 3 very large healthcare organizations that literally pay it out as bonuses. As much as they want to pretend they put it towards what they should, they don't. And I think winning this would really help us kind of A, reach more people, but B, get ourselves on the map in a way that we can actually really grow. And like I said, hopefully finally get access to some of that grant funding. We've been funding the project ourselves the whole time because we believe in it. We know it helps people. To date, we've helped about 1,000 families through this process over the last 6 years. And this would give us huge opportunity to expand everything we're doing. You can vote once a day for the next 2 weeks. If you would do that, I would absolutely love you forever, you guys. That would be huge. It's 2 seconds of your time, and it would make a huge difference in a lot of people's lives, especially mine. So if you believe in like what we're doing here with the NFT space, the crypto space, the Web3 space, then this is a cause that you will care about.
Austin, I want to just do a couple quick things. First is I want to cue up the screen share quick, Tony, if we can. I would like everybody who's in on YouTube, go in if you can, follow CraigO's Crypto Corner on Twitter, crypto Twitter as we say it. And I appreciate all the subs that we've been getting today, all the engagement on YouTube. I'm so grateful, Amy and Austin, for your time and for all the other special guests from the crypto NFT community.
Yeah, Core Apes.
Yep, Core Apes. I appreciate you, and you guys go and follow as well. But my link tree, if you can just plop that up there real quick for the YouTubers, go in there. It's pretty easy. Go like some of the things. Go follow some of my other platforms, our other platforms. I have to get in the habit of saying, because it really is. I mean, Matt's a very big fixture here on the space and has been for a number of episodes, actually since the end of last year. So Austin, I want to just dive into maybe just 3 more quick things with you, which will last maybe about 5 minutes. And so we'll say surface it. And then what we're going to do is we're going to stay live on Twitter Spaces after. And I'd ask everybody that's on YouTube, if you want to, hop over to Twitter Spaces. We can have some engagement. We're going to bring some other people up who are heavily involved. One of my good friends who's Dr. Crypto NFT, he'll probably be in there as well if he's still hanging out in the space. He's an OG as OGs come. He's very heavily involved in CryptoPunk, the original, so it's really cool just to kind of bring everybody in. And I always think punks, apes, and on-chain monkeys when I think about what are the genesis of NFT PFPs. It's my opinion, just my opinion.
I definitely think punk and
You
apes
know?
punk and apes are definitely up there.
Punk and apes, definitely. So I want to just talk about the 5 simple steps to play trends and patterns, and it's impulse, resist, decision and consolidation, and confirmation. Austin, can you just unpack that briefly for us if you can?
Wait, say that really quick.
Yep, 5 simple steps according to you guys on playing trends and patterns, right? One is impulse, right? Impulse control. That's what the psychologists always say, Amy, come in there slowly, learn, and then maybe you gradually do something. Resist. I think that's a really interesting one. Decision and consolidation. It seems like that was number 3. And then, or that was number 3 and 4. And then confirmation of that behavior or that pattern when you're investing. And so maybe let me pack that into a quick question for you. When people go through a certain steps, and they figure out what their investment strategy is, and it's different for everyone, but the fundamentals, the core fundamentals are the same. Do you think that the confirmation is like, that was good? Like when we train a dog to sit and to lie down, is the confirmation the good behavior of a positive result or a negative one?
I think for humans, the confirmation is like turning that experience into wisdom. Even if the result is not what you wanted, like the best trade I ever made lost me 40 grand. You know what I'm saying? Like the best trade that I've ever had lost me 40 grand. Why? Because it saved me hundreds of thousands over the next 2 years that I no longer have to lose, because I learned a very, very important lesson from that trade.
And I'm going to throw one last question to you. I appreciate that. And that was really important, right? Is that humans learn from the positive and negative. Hopefully they take the negative and they turn it around to a positive. And funny enough that your best investment was a 40K loss. The retirement age in the US used to be 62 years old. Eventually it creeped basically from retirement benefits, which was being pulled out. And then it crept up to 65 years old and is now at 67. How long do you think before we're in the low 70s, like 72, 73, based on our economy, based on the overprinting of money? Last question of the day, and then we're going to, everybody heading into Twitter Spaces.
I think it's an interesting question. And like, I've heard it a few ways. I think like when you think about it as a function of, hey, we live a lot longer, it changes the question a little bit. But I still think it's very interesting that hopefully it's because we are healthier and thus working longer. But unfortunately, I think it's that people that have worked their whole lives and have been relying on these pensions and Social Security have come to find that the drastic increase in cost of living as a result of printing that money has made what was once a viable retirement solution no longer a viable retirement solution. And it breaks my heart. I think that they need to stick with compounded investment over a longer period of time than they maybe would have once liked to. But they're in a position now where your money buys so little. I think it's more a matter of currency debasement than it is inflation, that it's difficult to live. I mean, and what you thought you could live on last year is like, take that by 30% and understand that in this day and age, everything you need is going to be about 30% more expensive.
That's the inflation, yeah. I know that we are going to be coming to the end of our podcast via video. We will be sticking around on the Twitter Spaces. We got, as Crypto Sage 26 is saying in the YouTube chat, the Core Apes family.
Core Apes.
Prepare for the Twitter Space. It's going to be like around like 5 minutes from now once this is over. We did leave the link in the chat, and like I said, we'll be doing a little post show talking about the huge family here, the Core Apes family, as well as Pennybois. Amy, Austin will be there as well. I'll just do a Q&A, and anyone who has been listening has any questions, you can feel free to hop onto the stage and chat. We would love to have that happen. But before we do, before we go over to there, I want to bring it over to you, Craig, for the rapid fire questions for Pennybois Stocklers, Neverloan Recovery's CEO, and stock trading extraordinaire, Austin Wynn.
Austin, I'm going to hit you with my first question. I watched this guy next to me. I call him the handsome MetaMatt. Produce some incredible content for you, for my podcast, and I'm grateful I get to just borrow them on Wednesdays. I get to steal them from you. Why MetaMatt being the curator of some incredible content for your platform?
Because he's relentless. and he loves it. I mean, I don't know if you know how he got his job. He was just a member, and he's kept hammering me about this membership thing and like this like community. Like he just was hammering me about this education course. Like, yeah, and by the way, I think you should change the price structure to this. And he just sent me this like 40-page thing of like, and I was like, wow, those are all really good ideas. So I was like, okay, just go do it, just do it. Because I didn't know what to do at that point. I mean, I was overrun, overworked, overtired. I was like, dude, this is a great idea. You seem like you know what you're doing. Just go do it. And he was like, yeah, I did these lottery contests at this casino. It was crazy. We could do it again. We could do it just like that. I'm like, whatever, man. Just try it out. I don't know. I like people that give a shit about stuff, and I'm more than willing to give them a chance and let them burn it down. I mean, it is what it is. I'd much rather walk away knowing, hey, I gave that person a shot and it didn't pan out than say, what could have been.
Yeah, and I love that. But let me throw one more at you. Just one more. And I don't want to do too many rapid fires.
I love answering questions.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you a couple more then. You could be stuck in a room, and I could care less about fame. Give a shit about it. Matter of fact, one of the things that I'd say is, who has influenced you that if you could be in a room with them and ask them a particular question, A, who would that person be in the room with you? And B, what would that question be?
Dead or alive?
I don't. Well, yeah. Like, if you're going to be in a room,
like
choose
one to be alive.
I'd rather they be alive. I mean, we don't want it to be Bernie's vacation.
No, I meant like, could it be someone who's already gone?
Sure.
Back from the past.
Sure.
I think I'd have to say Carl Jung.
Yeah.
I'd have to. And I'd say, honestly, just tell me your story. I mean, it wouldn't even be a question. It would just be, just tell me your story. Why?
Mine would be
That's all. The only question I have is why.
Do you feel that human beings are, and we talk about this a lot offline, Matt, and I'll tread lightly. I feel that humans are very easily programmed. What I mean by that is the lack of critical thinking, that you or I could have an opinion that differs from each other, and it's okay. So long as I'm not disrespecting you, I'm being kind to others, and I'm being cognizant that my thought process is different from yours and yours is different from mine. How do you approach critical thinking, not just in your business, but also in your personal life?
That it's not about me. Like, that's the thing, is everybody wants to fucking take shit personally. No one gives a shit about you. Like, no offense, but they don't. Like, when you're doing this podcast, you're like, sure, you might be interested in my answer, but at the end of the day, it's like, if it's not a question that you want to know the answer to, you're not going to ask it. You know what I mean? But also my answer, it's having enough self-esteem to know that nothing I say is about you, right? Like, we get into relationships, sometimes things come out sideways. Then you find out, oh man, they just got fired today. It was never about me. They lashed out on me, which is not an acceptable way to be treated. However, it was never about me. But if I take from that interaction, I leave and I go home and I start whipping myself with whatever I went through, I have now taken all of their problems and I look at them as boulders in a backpack. I just took another rock and I put it in the backpack, and now I'm carrying around even more weight.
That's powerful. And I agree. It's not about us. And you're not that important, Austin. And quite frankly,
yes.
neither am I.
You're important to me, Austin.
Well, you
sign
he's
my paycheck.
I was just about to say it. There you go. Now we got to the crux of it. Amy's like, no, I'm the one that writes the checks. All right, Amy, I'll give you my address. Well, I love it. And I think these are important conversations to have, because brutal honesty is something that people aren't often prepared for. And I also think that you just said it's not about you. And so I'm going to ask you this question. Sensitivity, especially in investing, it can crush you out of the game faster than what it got you in. How do you and Amy and Matt and the Pennybois community talk about sensitivity around investing?
Amy.
Ooh. Okay, this is a good one. I've been told I could be a little too rough when it comes to that, because I tend to be the type, like, if you've got $1,000 account and all you're doing is weekly option trading, you won't be here next year. Like, I go too far tough love, and I think Austin's a good buffer of that, because he is very uplifting and I'm very tough love. Like, we have to be, because as an option day trader, you have to be very, very stringent in how you follow your trades and what your trading plan is from trade to trade, or you can absolutely wreck your account. Like Austin was saying, I lost $67,000 in one day on the SPY because I deviated from my trading plan, and it almost destroyed. This was a couple of years ago. It almost took me out of trading. I mean, honest to God. So, like, from those hard lessons, that in listening, because, you know, for me, you know, the emotion, because it's money. Losing money is painful. I mean,
It sure
you
is.
know, so like listening to people trade in their stories, and I genuinely, it hurts my heart to see someone lose money that is a member, this or that. So that's why I go to the hardcore, because there's no leeway for, oh, you know, well, we'll just make that money back. Like, it's gone, and we have to go back to step one. So I think I could get a little, like, I don't know, like, male. I'm very stringent in that. So
I know a few people in the room, when they lose money, all they do is laugh. I don't have that, but other people like to laugh when they lose money. I'm just kidding. So,
Craig, really
yes.
quickly before we do head off, I do want to just mention, I know everyone, you know, speaking of Austin being uplifting, we do have a Twitter Spaces Thursday tomorrow. That's going to be at 7 p.m. Eastern. That's going to be a Twitter Spaces just fully based around Never Alone recovery, mental health. And then Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern, we have another one, alternative finance. This will be also with Austin. Actually, no, this will be with Austin's co-worker over at Never Alone Recovery, right? Austin, Nick, he'll be there, and we'll be talking about Never Alone Recovery. The Crypto Maury's team will be there as well, talking about mental health care, trading, NFTs, and, you know, how it all correlates. And we're going to be bringing that all together. It'll be like a feel-good spaces, basically. So basically, be sure to tune into that Thursday. It's going to be 7 p.m. Eastern, then Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern on Twitter.
I was just gonna say, Austin, Amy, and our crypto crew, and Matt, this has just been such an amazing time having you guys today on the podcast. We're gonna switch over now to Twitter Spaces, and we're gonna now exit. And Austin, Amy, thank you guys so much for popping on to our YouTube and Facebook stream.
Thank you so much for watching CraigO's Crypto Corner, the best in Web3, blockchain, NFT, and cryptocurrency technologies. CraigO signing off.